Hello, love. Welcome back to Soften Up with Crystal Alexandria. Today, we are talking romance and how it may not look like what we were sold. This episode is inspired by a Substack article that I wrote a couple years ago called Real Life Romance is So Different Than What I Thought It Was. It is amazing when you're actually out there dating and what sometimes can be the contrast between like what we see in the movies and TV and what we're actually experiencing in real life. Mine took an interesting twist when I started changing who I was dating. And things just got so different in the best way. It was so refreshing. As I share this piece with you, I plan on sprinkling in a little bit more story in there. And at the end, I want to talk to you to see what your real life romance looks like and whether it's different than what we were sold. I'm curious if this is just a me thing or if it's an us thing. Pretty sure I know the answer to that one, but we're going to stay open together. So this is called Real Life Romance is So Different Than I Thought It Was. We were all sold this very fanciful, grand gesture-laden, not to mention solely heterosexual, perception of romance. It was this dreamy something that only happened to the chosen few of us women, and we were dependent on a man to decide one day to make romance a reality for ladies longing to love IRL. I remember what an impossible scenario it felt like to have real-life romance. But it turns out true, lasting romance looks hella different than what I was sold. One of my prized possessions in my early 20s was a fat stack of my favorite rom-coms and dramas on DVD, naturally. Under the Tuscan Sun, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, The Notebook, Step Up, Wedding Planner, The Holiday, A Walk to Remember, Hitch, The Proposal, Wedding Crashers, Morning Glory. What more could an early 20-something girl in the early 2000s want? They became my comfort watches at home with my little snaggletooth Yorkie tucked between my ankles and my mischievous and cuddly black cat cuddled up in my chest as we cuddled on the couch on a slow Saturday morning. It was our favorite. As a single young woman living in the Midwest with lots of smarts and a curvy athletic body, a lot of times it felt like these movies were the closest thing I could actually get to real romance. That hurts my heart a little to say, but it definitely felt true for me back then. I spent my 20s and early 30s dating emotionally unavailable guys, hoping that somehow they would choose me for the long haul. At that time, I had no idea what that meant or even what I valued in a partner. Moreover, I didn't know the self-worth I would need to fight like hell to cultivate within myself to find my match in another human. I was single a lot of that time. I would date someone for a month or 3 and it would end. I'd be temporarily heartbroken and be back on the dating sites soon enough. I collected a lot of wild and quirky dating stories, that's for sure. When I had my spiritual awakening in 2011, things really started to change. I started to feel different about it all. I put dating on the back burner as I let myself discover who I was beyond the person I was trained to be. There was always this feeling in me followed by a quiet whisper saying, I don't know the rules to this game. It felt like an unwinnable game to which so much of my social cred was linked to. As a perfectionist people pleaser, I didn't like the feeling of failing at something everyone else seemed to do so effortlessly. One by one, my friends would pair off and get married. By the time I was in my first long-term relationship, they all had multiple children and were celebrating their 5 and 10-year anniversaries. I just felt so different. Most of me was okay with that. A part of me still felt like, damn, when do I get a chance at this whole romance and partnership thing? It didn't come along until I was 34 years old, but discovering my queerness unlocked a whole new world. It was a world filled with intentional, thoughtful dates, far more real and easier communication, and the kind of presence and romance that the guys in the movies could never come up with on their own. Women and queer folks were just so much more interesting. Sorry, dudes. It was as if I had realized that I held myself in an idealized heteronormative cage that all these movies had told me was the only option, and I was beholden to the games they taught me to play. My entire idea of romance has changed since meeting my partner, now wife. Maybe it's because it's built into a woman-loving woman relationship to remix or release gender roles completely. Maybe it's because we're each other's person. And maybe it's because our communication style, love languages, etc., all line up so fluidly. Whatever the reason, our flavor of romance just hits. We went on a sexy and adventurous couples weekend getaway to Niagara Falls, Canada, which I highly recommend, by the way. Talk about an underrated trip. The first of its kind for us and first of many more. After we got settled in the hotel room, we took a walk around the town and I asked her, "What's most important for you to experience this weekend?" She answered without skipping a beat, "Quality time with you, being present for everything we've got planned and resting together." Oh, swoon. So much swoon. We got this really great hotel room with a huge soaker tub, the main attraction, and she had thought ahead to pack our favorite body butters, sugar scrubs, bath bombs for the occasion. She had taken the lead on booking this hotel for the aforementioned tub and even researched the hotel restaurant menu to ensure they had gluten-free options for me to enjoy as well. Yep, just some more swoon to add on to the swoon. We boarded the boat to take us down to the mist of the rushing falls, and I had some major anxiety rise up when I saw how they were absolutely packing this boat filled with poncho-wearing tourists. Crowds are not my jam, especially since the pandemic kicked off, so I was really not loving this scenario. She grabbed my hand, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Let's take a few breaths. This is going to be amazing. Ground yourself and keep holding my hand." As the boat started moving, we approached the first set of falls. It felt like pure awe washed over me as the water fell and pounded into the water in front of our boat. The beauty was unmatched, and I became utterly present to the moment. Then my wife gently pulled me in closer to her hip with her face close to mine, looked into my eyes, and said, "This is the best day ever. I love you so, so much." She kissed me right then and there, surrounded by hundreds of people from all over the world. Major swoon, y'all. All of us have different desires and cravings when it comes to romance. Mine may look different or even far simpler than a lot of people. Ensuring there are gluten-free options on the menu may not strike someone else as romantic. But for me, she's showing me how taken care of and considered I am, which is 100% my idea of romance. It's the thoughtfulness. It really is. When it comes down to it, the presence, the clear intentions, the comfort, the unreserved, unabashed love for me, the thoughtfulness, the belly laughs, the delicious simplicity of quality time together, the eye contact, these loving actions have redefined romance for me forever. As a person who thought that they had to work really hard for someone's love and attention, it is so deeply healing to not have to. Her unwavering assuredness about her feelings for me has healed me at a cellular level and continues to. The best part is these are just a few examples of the kind of romance that is my normal everyday life now. The dancing in the kitchen, the forehead kisses on the way to the other room just because, the holding hands on the walk in the neighborhood, the gazing at me from across the deck at sundown while I light up in pure joy as I watch the baby deer play in our backyard. I mean, it's just so good. It gets to be this good. While this is all the swoon-worthy reality of the dreams I never knew to dream for myself, there is also some level of risk at play as a queer couple being romantic with each other in public. We've been very blessed to not encounter any harmful words or actions directed our way. There's definitely been some looks and stares for sure, but most people keep to themselves. We no doubt have our privileges working in our favor in a lot of these moments. The feeling of caution doesn't exactly ever go away. I never, and I mean never, had to think about any of this while holding a man's hand. Never, not once. Yet, this is a reality for queer people all around the world. Who would have thought that a simple act of romance could be an everyday revolutionary act? In the end, we reach for each other's hands anyway because all the worry that sometimes creeps in, I remember the positive interactions we've had and all the eyes landing on us who may have been given some kind of permission to be themselves a tiny bit more. I know my heart is so happy anytime I see another queer couple around town holding hands and doing normal life things. I remember what these small caring acts do for us as a couple and each of us individually. My prayer is that no matter who you love or are attracted to, I hope you know that you're worthy of real deal romance in your life. Let yourself dream up of what acts of love would feel so good to receive from someone else. Try not to talk yourself out of it or let doubt ruin the fun. Let yourself want it. Let yourself tuck it away in your heart. Before you know it, you'll be so happy you did when it starts to arrive in your life. Stay open and keep your heart in the game. It turns out romance in real life can be so much better than the movies ever said it was. It's really sweet to read that back and to share it with you in this new form and this new way. I just think in the past couple years, we've gotten married since our engagement and our wedding day were the epitome of simplicity and romance in our own way. One of our favorite dates ever was a sunrise date where we got up super early before the sun came up and went down to Lake Erie. I live in Northeast Ohio. And we watched the sun come up together on a blanket and then went to our favorite breakfast spot afterwards. And it was just so freaking romantic. We ended up having a gorgeous morning sunrise as well. So colorful and beautiful over the skyline of Cleveland. And we loved that date so much that when we were deciding to take that next step and get married together, we decided to do a mutual engagement where we both asked each other to marry each other. And guess where we did it? Sunrise engagement, which was the most freaking romantic thing that we ever could have come up with. Just us two on a blanket with our rings in our own timing of what felt most natural. She asked me, and then I asked her. And it was, it's going to make me tear up. It was just so perfect. The thing about romance, especially in my life now, I didn't know to dream it up. I just didn't see these things happening in the movies, which is my, it's a lot of our only access to what's possible out there. Since then, I've really gotten into like the romance genre, like queer romance books. And I really love that too, because you get exposure to what other, romantic things are happening in people's either creativity or pulled from real life. And it's just so beautiful because this exposure that we have now through other forms of art is sometimes our way in again to what's possible. I just didn't know. I didn't know to dream these dreams. I didn't know to dream up. So even my question to you of like, let yourself dream up what acts of love would feel really good to receive from someone. Do your best. And then the stay open part is so important because had I not done that, I would have really limited myself. I think sharing these like tender stories of what romance looks like in real life can be so inspiring and sweet to hear of. So if you have amazing and romantic stories to tell, like I would love to hear from you. What are those moments that just really stuck with you that you're like, I can't believe it gets to be this good and I didn't even know to dream this? And it's happening in my life right now. Oh my God. I would love to celebrate that with you. May we all know the most beautiful, tender, safe, expansive, abundant love in our lives. No matter the timing, no matter the form, may we be open to receive what is coming our way in the form of love and romance in our life. And may everything that gets shared today in the comments, on the socials, even whispered in your own heart, may it all just contribute to all of the possibilities that any of us get to create. Because your win is my win, your romance inspires my romance, and we get to have that in our life. We get to enjoy that and soak it in and just be so, so grateful that love found us in these beautiful ways. And you know what's even cooler as a last thought is that even though I centered romance between me and my wife, me and my partner, Romance comes in all kinds of ways. It does not have to be just with your romantic partner. You can be romancing your everyday life. Nature can be romancing you. Romance can happen between best friends that are there to care on each other and pour love into each other. It can happen in platonic ways and romantic ways alike. The staying open part is just so important. So, whatever way it wants to reach you, I hope that you're open enough to receive it. Because if love wants to reach you, babe, you better get out of the way and allow yourself to receive that. Let it in, let it soak into your cells, and let it remind you that you are so, so, so worthy of love and romance in your life. Until next time, bye, love.